Welcome back to my channel. This week's story is called Full Volume. This story was an exercise in character development and personality. I really liked the movie Legally Blonde. I wondered if I could translate the flamboyant personalities of Ellie and her best friend into a gay man. Would it be believable? This is the result. You'll have to tell me if it works, or if it doesn't. It was a really fun piece to write. As a tribute to the movie, I made the main character blonde and gave him a little dog. Will you step this way, please? Your date is waiting. Tonight, I was the winner. The football team and cheerleaders had held a charity raffle, and I had bought 10 tickets. I had won dinner and dancing with a lucky football player. I don't know anything about football, except the players are big and muscular, and some of them are very fast, and they throw a weird-looking ball around. The guy who sold me the tickets only had to smile a couple of times, and I fell into immediate lust. I fall apart whenever a guy looks at me like that. But I won a blind date with some good-looking hunk. I won. Grandma would be proud. My best friend Petey was so jealous. I promised to tell him everything tomorrow, in case tonight took all night. The Student Services building hosted the charity night, and I had borrowed a little from my savings account to make sure I looked good and smelled good. I rented a tux, and they had this bright purple cummerbund. It was more of a Mardi Gras kind of color. I had to have that, but I didn't want to clash colors, so I went with a matching tie. New shoes, a bright yellow boutonniere. Purple and yellow are complementary colors. They looked good together. New hairstyle, short sides, long top that drooped over my right eye, giving me that kind of a mysterious vibe. I could do anything with my blonde mop and it would look good. Even a new purse. Well, it's not a purse, but a carrier for my baby. Duchess Demon Jasmine. A tiny 3-pound dog that looked like a cotton ball with legs. It looked like a bigger purse. The carrier, not my baby. Duchess went everywhere with me. She's my service dog. She keeps me calm because I'm not a calm person. I found these little stick-on jewels that I put all over her collar and her harness. And of course, I had to make little hearts on her carrier. She was so cute, and the love of my life. When I find some lucky guy, if he don't love my Duchess as much as I do, then he's out the door. My roommate was so jealous. I got to have a dog, I had the hair, and I had the clothes. Time for the date. What a party this will be. The football players won't know what to do with me. The cheerleaders can cry all they want when I steal all their boyfriends. I passed a mirror in the student center lounge. I'm looking good. I didn't use too much makeup, just a little to enhance my eyes and the teensiest bit of lip gloss to give my lips a little shine. Some guys don't like guys with makeup, so I kept it light tonight. Still, I had to use a little gloss, bubblegum flavored. It smelled so good. I was perfect. Except for the zit on the side of my nose. I swear, I only have to look at chocolate to break out. Still, it was kind of hidden under just the little tiniest dab of foundation. A quick fluff of the hair, and I'm ready to break some hearts. Everybody mingled in the lounge. The cheerleaders in their formal wear, the football players in their tuxes. Did those guys look good? Yum! I was in an all-you-can-eat candy shop. Each of us were given a name tag and the name of our date. I put mine on and went looking for Emmanuel Lopez Reyes. I didn't know what he looked like, so I got out my phone. I found these little rainbow bling things that I just had to use to decorate that boring back, and looked up the team website. Oh, look at his smile, at his dimple. He is so good looking. Looks like I'm the lucky one tonight. Just wait and tell my Petey about who I'm seeing. According to the website, Emmanuel goes by Manuel. Big guy, 6'2". He's 4 inches taller than me. Loads of lovely muscles. Dark hair, darker eyes. So sexy, he could put me in a suitcase and take me home. Yum. Maybe I'll take him home. More yum. I'll have to kick Petey out for the night. Sorry, best friend, but it's for a good cause. There's only one problem. Manuel's not here. I double-checked. All the cheerleaders are taken. All the football players. No extra dates. Just me. No dark-eyed and sexy hunk of love. He must be running late, or having a tux malfunction. I had one of those once. The pants split right down the middle. Senior prom. My boyfriend at the time found an old sweatshirt to wrap around me, and we kept dancing until we left. Then we did other things that didn't require pants. A hot tub with a lot of friends, and Grandma chaperoned. First and only time I've ever been mad at my grandma. Anyone seen Manuel? I said. Plays tight end, whatever that is. I wonder if that means he has a cute butt. Somebody giggled. I held my carrier and my breath. Everything's going to be all right. Duchess Demon Jasmine shifted inside. Somebody snickered on the far side of the room. I couldn't see who it was. My anxiety level went from a 0 to a 2. Manuel, I called out, we're going to have fun tonight. You betcha. You have to tell me all about football, because I don't know a thing. Except all the guys are really good looking. Manuel? He wasn't in the lounge. I checked the large hall where we would have our dinner and dancing. I hope Manuel likes to dance. I like to. No Manuel there either. Well, Duchess, where would you hide a big, tall, sexy football player? Duchess didn't respond. Bedroom would be my first guess, but we'll save that for later, I said. The bathroom. I checked. He wasn't there. I went back to the lounge and looked again. Manuel, are you here yet? Are you hiding? A waiter walked around handing out fluted champagne glasses filled with nice liquid bubbly. I have to limit myself because it goes straight to my head. 1 or 2 glasses and I'll make a fool of myself. I'm trying to make a good impression here. Hey, Mr. Waiter, I said. The waiter walked over to me. Have you seen Manuel? No, sir, the waiter said. Ladies and gentlemen, some guy said at the other side of the room. Mid-40s. I think he was the coach of the team. He had this older woman hanging on his arm. Wife, I'd guess. Right color of dress for her skin tones, but I swear her corsage was so big that she could feed a beehive. A couple of points. Each seat has a name. Please don't switch it because it will screw up the count. Though the band is playing, please reserve any dancing until after the meal. We have to be out of the building by midnight. If you and your date decide to continue your party, it will have to be elsewhere. We have to wait before we go dancing. That's no fun. I checked my phone. A little after 8. Where is my Manuel? I waited in the lounge and waited until everybody had entered the big room. And then I entered the big room. The room was decorated with green and gold streamers, thousands of little white lights, with several dozen tables around the edges and matching green tablecloths. The live band played on the far side of the room, next to an open balcony that let the night air ruffle my hair. I looked about for my seat and find it next to Manuel's. But he wasn't there. Has anyone seen Manuel? I said. I took a seat and chatted with the people around me. I shifted Duchess to my lap. Somebody eyed my giant purse, but I think they were jealous because mine sparkled and theirs didn't. Finally, a man entered. Manuel. Ooh, he was more sexy in person than that little picture. At least 80 pounds heavier than me and solid muscle. He filled out that tux completely and nicely. Black tie, black cummerbund, white boutonniere. I licked my lips and held my breath. Did he like guys? Especially blondes. More importantly, did he like dogs? If I kept my nose turned just a little bit, maybe he wouldn't notice the zit. No matter. We would have fun whether he was straight or gay. Though we would have more fun if he was gay. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I raised my hand and then jumped up. Hey, Manuel, we're over here. Our seats have little name tags on them, so I didn't have to save you one, but I would have. I walked over to him. I'm Chad, and it's good to see you. I'm your date, and I can't wait for you to tell me all about your moves. Manuel nodded, but didn't say hi, or hello, or anything. If I was as late as he was, I might be embarrassed too. The sexy, silent type. I loved him already. I could talk enough for both of us. It's good to meet you. I read your website bio and it said you were a junior. That's just like me. It said your major was business. We have so much in common. My major's not business, and I don't know anything about football. Somebody snickered. I held my breath and held the carrier. Duchess shifted weight and went on alert. I'm glad the cover was zipped shut because I don't know how these folks would react to a little dog poking her head up. Sometimes people judge me when they don't understand me. Once we sat down, I secretly fed Duchess a little puppy treat and rubbed her ears. She liked the beef ones. The lamb-flavored ones gave her indigestion. I don't like how they smelled either. It gave my little baby the worst breath. Manuel didn't talk much. In fact, he barely said hello. That's okay. I talked for both of us and kept the conversation moving at our table. My major is astronomy because I like looking at the stars, I said. I didn't realize there was so much math in astronomy. Grandma always said I was good at math, so this is my chance to prove it. Manuel didn't say anything. Good thing I don't shut up. You have the prettiest shaped eyes, I said to one of the cheerleaders at our table. With the right color, you could make your eyes unforgettable. To the other woman, I tried to be nice and polite. I would die to have your cheekbones. But you should wear your hair up. Show off that perfect facial structure. Get out your phone and I'll show you. I walked over, held up her hair, and let her see the difference. You could tease the boys all night and not have to say a word. And to the football player sitting next to me, I said, Why do you use such a strange-shaped ball? I can't believe that you can even throw that thing. He rolled his eyes. I could have sworn that I heard someone snicker. Duchess heard it too. I held her case. Manuel didn't hear anything. His seat was empty. Manuel, I said, excuse me, everybody. I better go find my date. Truth is, I don't know when he disappeared. Why would anyone avoid a party like this? It's kind of a boring party, at least until the dancing started, but whatever they were cooking smelled good. I looked around the big room. No Manuel. I checked the band. Still no tall, dark, and sexy. I went into the lounge. Nobody except a couple of football players. The most annoying guy in school is here, one of them said. Do you think Manny will do it? If he wants me to recommend him to be captain next year, he will. I had no idea what they were talking about, but I did spot Manuel standing alone on the balcony. It's hard to date somebody when you're alone. Good thing I have Duchess Demon Jasmine to keep me stable. How should I handle this? Lonely guy standing alone? He has to be straight because I am looking good and smelling good. I popped a breath mint, just in case. I leaned against the balcony next to him. Whatever cologne he used smells so good, and gave the old classic line. What's a pretty boy like you doing in a gin joint like this? That got his attention, and a small smile. I swear my heart melted down to my toes. See anything good out there? I asked. If we didn't have all these lights, I could point out some of the stars to you. I'm sorry I left, Manuel said. I don't handle social things like this very well. Good thing I'm here, because I can talk enough for both of us, I said. We never got proper introductions. Too many people around. Let's try again. I'm Chad, and this is my princess, the Duchess Demon Jasmine. I unzipped the top a little, just enough for Duchess to poke her tiny head out. Manuel better love her, or this will be a very short relationship. You carry a dog with you? Manuel smiled and scratched Duchess's head. Can I hold her? She seems to like you, I said, unzipping the top and pulling my tiny princess out. She had her harness on, the neon green one that said service animal. Her collar sparkled with all the little gems. I'm so proud of her. She's full grown and only weighs 3 pounds. My little baby. She's cute, Manuel said, cradling her in his arms. Why do you have a dog? I almost squealed. He liked Duchess. Manuel passed the first test. I know. It's hard to believe coming from someone who looks as good as me, I said, but the docs wanted to put me on meds because I have anxiety issues. Instead, I got Duchess. You. I know. I look put together on the outside, I said, staring anywhere but at him. But God didn't put me together right on the inside. If I'm not careful, I'll tell you my whole life story, and we've only known each other 5 minutes. I'm unwell, he said. Do you talk in your sleep? If you mean, do I ever shut up? I said, taking my Duchess back. Sometimes. My roommate, Petey, he's also my best friend. We're not sleeping together or anything. We're just friends. We're both gay, but we've set a few boundaries. Anyway, he doesn't mind me talking. But when I drive him cuckoo, we have this game. He holds out his imaginary remote and hits mute. I can't talk until he unmutes me. If I do, I have to pay him $10, and I don't have a lot of money. Does it work? Drives me crazy, I said. Sometimes he forgets, and so I have to walk across the room and press the unmute button when I want to say something. Manuel smiled. Like this? Manuel held up an imaginary remote and pressed a button. Of course, I shut up. I pretended to speak, but didn't make a sound. Then Manuel pressed the button again, and I resumed talking. I did the bold thing. I held his hand, because he seems sad. I hope he tells me what's wrong. Maybe I can help. Not everyone is lucky enough to have a Duchess. I know. I gave him Duchess to hold. You don't like people much, I said, or big fancy parties. No, not tonight, Manuel said, sighing. My family's from a very small town where everybody knows each other. Meeting strangers is hard for me. Don't think of me as a stranger then, I said. I'm just a friend you haven't seen in a while. I have an idea. You wait right here, and you hold my dog for a minute. When I'm having a bad day, that always helps me. I went into the lounge and found the waiter I had talked to earlier. Can I ask you a favor? Me and Manuel are having a little party by ourselves, just the two of us. When you serve dinner, can you bring us our plates we eat over there? You know, nice and private-like. Yes, sir. You are the most kindest person. Thank you. I'd never been called sir. Nobody did that before. I like this party, except we need some dancing. I went back to Manuel, almost took his hand, but I had an idea. I went back to the lounge and dragged out a couple of their nice chairs for me and Manuel to sit in. We did, and we chatted. Well, mostly me, but he looked interested. If I talked enough, maybe his sadness would go away. Why did you call her Duchess Demon Jasmine? Manuel asked, cuddling the tiny little thing in his huge arm. I call her Demon because she's very possessive, I said. She lets me know if she doesn't like anyone. She's very vocal. And Duchess, because she makes me feel so rich. She's what makes me stable. Without her, I'd be a mess. My mom and dad got a divorce, but neither one of them could live with me. So they sent me to my grandma, and she said I could talk as much as I wanted because it was like an angel speaking. When all the doctors wanted to put me on these drugs, Grandma got mad and said there was nothing wrong with me and got me Duchess. I miss my grandma. There was this time a year ago, I left Duchess home, I don't remember why, and it didn't take long before I had an anxiety attack. A 6. I rate my attacks out of 10. Most of the time I'm at a 0 or a 1, but sometimes it gets bad. Real bad. I'm not a strong person like you, or my grandma. Listen to me. I warn you I'd tell you my life story if we weren't careful. Manuel chuckled. Jasmine? I love the smell of those flowers, I said. My grandma, I hope God is watching out for her because she died a few years ago. If she went to hell, she'd kick the devil right out and install air conditioning. My grandma had a temper, and if anyone ever picked on me, she called down fire and brimstone. She had some jasmine growing in her yard. When I hold my jasmine, it reminds me of all the good times my grandma and me had. I'm doing all the talking. You need to tell me about yourself. I'm not very complicated, Manuel said. You know what? I think you're one of those people that take their time getting to know somebody. A slow burner, my grandma used to say. I'm one. It takes a while before I get to know someone, or trust them. What else did your grandma say? When a slow burner makes a friend or falls in love, I said, it might take a year or two, but it's not a casual thing. There's real deep feelings involved. You don't abandon people when things get rough. You stick right by them, like superglue. The waiter came back with another waiter, and they carried a small table. They set it down not far from us, left, then came back carrying chairs. "What's this?" Manuel asked. "I sort of asked the waiter to bring our dinner over here," I said. "You seem kind of sad. Didn't want to be around people. I thought this was a better choice. I didn't expect tables and chairs, though." "You need a place to set your plates, right?" the waiter said, grinning a little. "I guess you're right," I said, and I took Manuel's hand again. "Manuel looks too nice in his tux to be sitting on the floor." Then the waiter came back with a tablecloth, place settings. Another waiter returned with candles and lit them. "Looks like we are having our own private party," I said, "away from all the crowds." A few minutes later, they came back with fluted glasses filled with bubbly. "This remote thing of yours," Manuel said, "does it have any other buttons?" "I knew I flirt when I meet them," I grinned. "We never tried more than mute," I said. "Maybe yours has different buttons." "Maybe. Here's one that says volume. What happens when I turn it down?" I kept up the non-stop conversation, but this time I whispered. "I'm changing the volume back to normal," Manuel said. "This button says weather." I tried to sound like a forecaster. "Well, Bob, skies are clear, but we might be in for a storm. You know, those winds are picking." "I'm not in the mood for that channel," Manuel said, and laughed a little. "Let's try science fiction." "Look out, Duchess. The aliens are coming to get us. Look at all those flying saucers. Earth doesn't—" "Fantasy." He clicked the button. I grabbed a butter knife and held it up. "Don't worry, Duchess. I'll protect you. By this sword, I will slay those big old flying things, and anything that—" The waiter returned with our plates and stared at me waving the knife around, and at Manuel pointing the imaginary remote at me. I set the butter knife down. "I was seeing what was on TV," Manuel said, laughing. We took our seats. I made sure Duchess was fastened in, and I cut little pieces and fed them to her. I gave my Duchess little pieces because I didn't want her to choke. She always chewed real good, so I shouldn't have worried, but I did anyway. I think it's part of my anxiety. We ate. Manuel pulled out the remote. His eyes twinkled, and he bit his lip. "There is a button here called Romance. Shall I push it and see what's on?" Can I call them? Manuel is a flirt and a fun one. I could kiss those beautiful lips all night. "It's your call," I warned. "Better be careful, though. Some of those romance shows can get kind of steamy." "Then I better not push the porn button," Manuel said, with a very wicked grin. "Manuel, you have a naughty side," I said. I gave him a wicked grin back. "What would my grandma say if she knew I surrendered my virtue to you on our first date?" "What would she say?" I put my arms on my hips and gave Manuel a stern look. "What took you so long?" Manuel leaned into me, and I swear he wanted to kiss me. Instead, he said, "How long did your grandma say slow burners take to get to know someone?" "Maybe a year, sometimes longer." Manuel pushed the button. "Let's see what's on the romance channel." I stood up, pulled his chair out a little, and pulled the big man to his feet. He needed a hug to chase the sadness out of his eyes. Grandma would like this man. "What happens if I turn the volume up?" Manuel said. "Like this." "I might take it as permission," I said. I ran my hand down that big, muscular arm of his. This was heaven. "Permission for what?" Manuel said. "To dance, silly. We're not in a bedroom, so I can't do much more than that." The orchestra still played light jazz. I set the dog case on the carrier, wrapped my arms around Manuel's neck, and we began with a slow dance that kind of turned into a slow waltz. I know my dancing. So did Manuel. He spun me around, then spun me back. We did this little move thing, and he held my hand up and spun me around again. Then he dipped me. I was in love. "I'm glad there's no people around," I said. "We're having too much fun." "You know how to dance and mute," Manuel said, flashing those dark eyes and pointing the imaginary remote at me. I swear those eyes swallowed my soul in one bite, and I let them. I shut up and we danced. Duchess crawled out of her case and jumped on the table and nibbled on our food. I didn't think we were going to eat it anyway. The waiter returned, carrying some kind of cake with berries on top for dessert. He saw the small dog, saw us dancing, and he smiled. He backed away without saying anything. Manuel kissed me on my mouth, surprising me. I kissed back. His big, strong arms held me tight, and I wrapped my arms about his neck. I like the Romance Channel. We didn't use a tongue, not on the first date, but it didn't matter. He lifted me up a couple of inches until we were eye to eye. I could swear I was floating. Our lips joined, and I swear I heard fireworks. Not the little pop ones, but the big ones that fill the entire sky. One kiss, and I swear I would run to the ends of the world for him. Someone snickered. Duchess barked. A camera flashed. Manuel sat me down. I turned around and saw a couple of the football guys watching us. Good job, Manuel. You're captain next year. What do you mean? I asked. It's tradition. We dared Manuel to kiss the most annoying guy on campus. The captain of the team said. I recognized him from the website. I told our boy it was the only way he could be captain next year. Use the raffle to lure you here. Manuel used me? I didn't win? My stomach lurched. The proverbial floor collapsed beneath me. I didn't want to believe this had happened to me. I started to breathe faster. I looked at Manuel, hoping for some denial. None came. You rigged this whole night? I said. Not for the others. Just for you, the guy said, grinning. But you got a free dinner out of it. My chest tightened. I panted, breathed faster and faster. My anxiety level soared. I turned to Manuel. You were in on this? Manuel didn't say anything. He tightened his hands into fists. But I liked you, I said. The anxiety jumped from a 0 to who knows what number. I needed my dog. I thought we had something. You were all sad, and I was trying to help you be happy again. We were having fun. The other guys laughed. Most annoying guy on campus. You think we would want you around. I began to hyperventilate. Manuel? Manuel didn't move, didn't speak. I hope you lose every game for the rest of the season, I screamed. I took one of the plates and slammed it into Manuel's chest. Food splattered across his tux. The captain guy howled. He fell on the floor. He was laughing so hard. The plate clattered to the floor and broke. The noise startled my little Duchess. She leaped off the table and round into the lounge. She didn't know this building. Duchess, I grabbed the dog carrier and ran, trying to follow her. A bunch of football players were in the lounge, listening. They were listening at us, laughing at me. Everybody stared. My anxiety went to a 900. I looked under the chairs and looked all across the lounge, but I couldn't find her. Somebody had propped the front door open. She would have run outside. Duchess! The anxiety had gone off the scale, at 12,000 at least. It hadn't been this bad for years. All the money I spent on tonight, wasted. The raffle tickets, a joke. My dog was gone. I ran into the parking lot, screaming, Duchess! I searched the rest of the night and couldn't find her. Most annoying guy on campus. Great award. Stupidest guy. Why didn't I see this coming? 2 a.m, I went home. I couldn't find my princess. Petey had gone out, leaving the place quiet and dark. I changed to sweats and cradled the dog carrier in my arms, softly rocking and moaning. The anxiety didn't go away. I couldn't sleep. When Petey walked in the door, he saw me. He knew immediately that something was wrong. I had stopped talking completely. No dog greeted him. Chad, talk to me. What happened? I bit my lips and cried. The guy who couldn't shut up couldn't get a word out. It hurt too much. The next morning, I got out of bed at 6 and searched for my dog. I skipped my classes, called in sick to work, didn't eat. 12 hours of searching. When it got dark, I had to go home. I stared at the ceiling. I didn't talk, or when I did, I didn't say much. Petey forced me to sit down. You are going to tell me what happened, or you are going to pay me $10. I'd spent all my money on my tux and hair. I held the empty carrier, and between gulps and sobs, somehow told Petey about the disaster, how my dog was gone. Oh, Manuel, well, it used me. Petey knew how much I needed my princess. Petey swore. Grandma wouldn't be proud of me. As angry as I couldn't be, Petey was. He grabbed his phone and left the dorm. I'd never seen anyone so mad, never heard some of the words that he used. Not even Grandma used them. I had an hour's sleep. The next day, I had to go to my classes, to work. Most annoying kid on campus. The phrase ran through my head nonstop. When teachers called on me, I didn't know what was happening. I put books in the wrong places at work. I work at the library. I should have gone to the doctor. My anxiety was terrible. I avoided the parts of the student center where they had the party, where we had danced. I didn't go anywhere near the stadium or the gym or the practice fields. Every free minute I kept looking. My princess needed me, and I needed her. Most annoying kid in the school. I had liked Manuel, and now Duchess was gone. I sat in the cafeteria, missing my little dog, sipping herbal tea. I couldn't eat real food. I wouldn't keep it down, and stared out the window. Somebody sat opposite me. God, I didn't have any makeup to hide my zits. My forehead had completely broken out. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I put my head in my arms so they would leave me alone. Can you look at me? A soft voice said. Hideous me sat up. Hi. Manuel. He placed Duchess in front of me. I found Duchess. My eyes filled with tears. I hugged her, checked for any injury. I couldn't speak. I held her. Her little vest was torn, and some of the little jewels were gone. As fast as she was, Duchess didn't get very far, Manuel said. She was stuck in the bushes just outside the door. I held her tiny body to my cheek. A tiny sob escaped. I couldn't be strong. Not like Grandma, not like Petey. Manuel took a long, slow breath before he spoke. I quit the team. I screwed up my face so I wouldn't cry. Manuel leaned back and stared at the ceiling. When he looked at me, a single tear ran down his cheek. After you left, Coach was in the other room, and I told him I wanted nothing to do with his stupid team, and I quit, right in front of everybody, caused some chaos. He wanted details, but I left to look for you and your dog. I nodded, holding my little princess as tight as I could. I heard later that your roommate, Petey, came by the gym and told Coach why I left and what had happened. Coach suspended a bunch of players and sent their names to the ethics committee. The team fell apart. I couldn't fight the tears any longer. I'm not strong. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Everything I told you was true. I take a long time to warm up to people, but not you. I had fun that night, too. I held my dog, cuddling her against my face. Her fur was warm and soft. I think I forgot to turn up the volume, Manuel said, his eyes red. He pointed the imaginary remote at me and pressed a button. Thanks for finding my Duchess, I said, very softly. But it hurts being used like that, and discovering that everyone thinks I'm annoying. I liked you. Duchess liked you. Then I discovered it was an act. Manuel leaned over and took my hand. How's the anxiety? I haven't slept for 2 days, I said. Me neither. It wasn't an act. Manuel placed a finger under my chin and raised my head till our eyes connected. I don't think you're annoying. I think you're cute and fun and considerate, and I love your hair and your dog. Did he just call me cute? The reason I was so late that night, I told him no. I wanted nothing to do with it. Then you found me, and we had fun with the remote. I thought their game was over. My mistake. What would it take to show you that I'm sorry? I want to get to know you. How can I trust you? I said. Petey took the seat next to me. Would you two just kiss and make up? He pointed the imaginary remote control at both of us. Manuel helped me install a new button on the remote. Romance. I swear Grandma must have been sitting on Petey's shoulder, whispering in his ear because he sounded just like her. Petey clucked his tongue at the same time he pressed the button. His remote is noisier than Manuel's. Manuel walked around the table, took my hand, and pulled me to my feet. Right in the middle of the cafeteria, we slow danced. Who needs music? Me and my dog hugged Manuel. One kiss and I felt better. The next kiss, my anxiety lessened. He picked me up until our mouths were even with each other. We kissed. I forgave him. That's what Grandma would want me to do. We got kicked off the team because of you two, the football captain yelled. I guess it's ex-football captain now. 3 guys stood behind us, full of vim and vinegar, as Grandma used to say. I never did find out what a vim was. The ex-captain guy? He had this little piece of tape across his nose, and an odd-shaped bruise I swear looked like the Statue of Liberty. What happened to your nose? I asked. Manuel massaged my shoulders a little bit. I kind of hit somebody on the way out the door the other night. Well, I'll be. Grandma would definitely like my Manuel. Those 3 football players were as angry as buttermilk gone bad, as Grandma used to say. I never knew what that meant. The school might expel us, another man said. We're all seniors. How do you expect us to graduate? Manuel let go of me, held up his remote, and said, There's this button we haven't tried. I think it's a religious channel called Fire and Brimstone. Do you want to try it? Let's set it to full volume. Make your grandma proud. Petey chuckled. His imaginary remote was good, but it didn't have all these buttons. Grandma made the best cookies in the whole wide universe, but she had a temper. I kind of inherited a little bit of that, and her lungs. There was this time back in high school when the coach lost his voice. I did the yelling for him. I didn't need no bullhorn either. Manuel clicked the button and gave me a little peck on my forehead. God, I could learn to love him. Sorry, God, that's a lie. I already do. I let Manuel hold my little Duchess. I reached in my backpack and pulled out my lip gloss, watermelon flavor. Once applied, I opened my mouth. I'm really good at talking. I'm also really good at yelling. They thought me annoying before those poor boys learned that I have a little bit of temper inside of me too. Just like Grandma. So did the whole cafeteria. It's not my fault Manuel set the remote to full volume.